Lately, I've really been digging this Tazo tea maker. You go.
Welcome to another episode of Brews and BizDev. Today, our illustrious guest is Jill Pawlik, Director of Marketing for Uniland Development. And I know you have some other titles and things worked in there, so I'll let you quick do an intro for yourself. Jill, give us your elevator pitch. Who are you?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Who am I? You know, I was first presented with that question in 7th grade English, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. But obviously I've had a lot of time to figure it out. So, I mean, in a professional role, and what I'm paid to do currently is handle all of the marketing, communications, public relations, even some HR stuff, internal stuff for Uniland. So I wear a lot of hats like everybody right now in the business, and have a great team that helps us, do that on a daily basis.
Cool. And are you, we've had a lot of shifting around, all of us lately, right, over the last few months. Now, are you working on the Hansa project as well?
Yeah, Hansa is going to open about late August. Mm-hmm. So we are in our kind of ramp up right now for prospecting leads. We are bringing people through the building on organized tours, and I'm really excited to get the media in there, closer to end of August, just some kind of sneak peeks. But yeah, we've got some members already registered. We have a pop-up location right across the street on Ellicott in another building that we own. That's on the corner of Ellicott and Tupper. So we've had some folks working out of there. But yeah, the Hansa co-working and private office, private suite facility is going to be unlike anything that, exists in Buffalo right now. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have fashioned it with all of the health and safety protocols, that are necessary to work in a safe environment during COVID.
Cool. And are you kind of like I remember we talked about it before, and I don't know if you used the word brand manager or if I just made that up and injected it, but you're kind of overseeing that brand as it gets created and rolled out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we worked with the Martin Group on creating the brand. We internally came up with the name. But yeah, we have the whole brand, image for Hansa, which is that it's kind of straddles the line between, sophisticated, yet approachable and friendly. So whether you're a 1-2 person business, or you're a Rich Products or an M&T, or, that needs an offsite space for 5 or 10 employees, we can accommodate all of that.
Okay, cool. I was going to start just jumping right into it, but I'm going to back up a little bit because here on Brews and BizDev, the customary thing is that the guest gets to pick the brew to feature the day. So tell us what brew you've chosen that we're both drinking and why you chose it.
Okay, sure. So lately I've really been digging this Tazo tea maker. You go. I don't drink coffee. I know that shocks a lot of people, especially when I was a journalist and I was the only reporter who didn't drink coffee. They thought something's wrong with me. But I love the aroma of coffee, but I just don't like the taste. Mm-hmm. So I have been a tea drinker forever. And for the longest time, I was only drinking chai. Mm-hmm. And then actually David Fresh over at the Block Club turned me on to matcha mate, which is, I've always drank, green tea, but what matcha is a much more intense type of green tea. Mm-hmm. The way the leaves are dried and, harvested, and then they're, mashed up into a fine powder. So you get that. And then this product also gives you the mate, which is leaves from another plant. And then what I also love about this is you get your basic green tea in it, and then you get some grapefruit oil, which I don't really taste very much of it. Do you taste? Do you
Uh,
find it to be a strong
I tasted
taste?
at first, and I think I oversteeped mine because the whole 2 minutes thing, I was like, oh, I blew past 2 minutes, forgot what I was doing.
Yeah,
But
right,
and I know that can be rough with green tea if you oversteep. It can really put that dirt flavor in it or whatever it is.
right.
But yeah, I noticed the grapefruit right at the front end. I don't notice it anymore as
Mhm.
I'm sipping it, but I was thankful for actually, because at first I thought, oh man, that might be a bit much, but it actually
Right.
killed the green tea dirt kind of taste. And now it's just, and I also I drank green tea for years. I was also not much of a coffee person. I for a while I lived in LA and then Austin, and I was in the personal development field. So if any kind of tea, any kind of, all the master cleanses, if there's some kind of weird fringe thing, like I've definitely done it. And so there's a lot of
Right,
green tea as I was on like the macrobiotic plan and all that kind of stuff.
right.
And yeah, I got used to it, even though it was straight up plain green, it does not
Yeah,
taste good. Like most health food,
yeah.
does not taste very good,
Right, right.
but it's good.
Yeah,
This is not unpleasant.
unpleasant.
Yeah, I was going to. I had a pun all queued up where I was going to say this is not exactly my cup of tea, but I gotta say I gotta say it's actually, this is good. This is
All
better
right,
than
good.
what I
Cheers.
expected.
It's always good to try, yeah, try something new. And if you don't
Yeah.
like it, you can hopefully pass it off to somebody who will. But yeah, 100% agree with your assessment on it. So kudos to you for trying something new.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's part of the fun of doing this series
That's what,
is,
yeah, that's what
I,
we're here for.
I subject myself to whatever someone picks, as long as we can get it. We've got some out of state ones, and we're running into barriers because people are picking, like for beer microbreweries out there. And it's like, yeah, no,
Yeah,
those laws stop us from actually being able to bring the beer out here most of the time. So,
yeah,
yeah, this is probably the most varied one yet because it's just been coffee, which is, coffee is coffee, and within a certain range. I mean, there's bad coffee for sure. But if you're in a decent coffee or really great coffee, the point is that it's dark, it's warm, and that it shoots energy into my skull is what I need it for. But beer
right.
has a lot of variants, right? There's a lot of different kinds. There's sours, and so far there's been some IPAs, been some lagers, and been a lollipop sour or whatever. Carlucci,
Yeah,
for his episode, brought in something from
right.
Froth. So yeah, I've enjoyed the
Yeah.
finding it, and that this was still easy to find. I just had to go to Wegmans for this.
Yep.
I've put in some time searching some stuff down for the
Yeah. That can be the downside of it. But
yeah
yep,
yeah
Wegmans and good to go.
yeah exactly. So yes, so yay tea, this worked out. BizDev. Now, from a Uniland perspective, because I do want to we'll talk about established things and then talk about the contrast between that and creating and growing a brand like Hansa, right? Uniland, there's a lot of different stuff, right? You've got commercial properties you're trying to lease out and rent out and sell. You've got some residential places you're trying to promote and advertise for and fill. You've got different kinds of services and offerings that you're giving to businesses. A lot of different directions. Those all, I know, right, require different approaches, different kinds of marketing, different messaging. You're talking to different people about it who have different concerns. So in the world of marketing to those folks and then having people to deal with them as they come in, because hopefully with marketing you create inbound leads. But then there's what do you do with the leads and how do you manage them? And as I understand it, do you have BizDev people? I mean, do you have reps that handle that when they come in, or no?
So we actually don't have a person with that title, business development. I've talked to Carl about that over the last couple of years, and I feel that we've grown to the point where we need that one person who can be out there focusing on that. But the ownership believes that all of us are business development people at the end of the day, right? And I think that you and a lot of others watching can agree with that. So when when I'm out at say an event, or any of our directors are out at their various trade show meetings or whatnot, they are representing the company and they're representing our products and our services. So in a way, yes, we are all biz dev people at the end of the day. So we also use the power of the Buffalo Network, the Montante Network, the Uniland Network to, produce leads. We're very fortunate that Carl Sr., started building this business in 1974 and really on those principles of it's a one-on-one, it's not a transaction, it's a one-on-one experience between you and another person, right? What does that person need? And you're going to discuss with them if you can fill that need or not, right? And that's it. Like that's the basis, right? So we haven't veered away from that. We've certainly had to adapt to our portfolio growing and growing and growing. And now we have, more apartment units, than we've ever had before. So that's a whole different, channel. But you're right. It takes the different messaging, the different tactics. But at the end of the day, as those leads come in, they're going to human beings. They might come in through our HubSpot, funnel, which we spent a lot of time, creating and making sure it's the best it can be to attract the right type of leads. But at the end of the day, there's a human being looking at every lead and following up, on that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, so let's get into the pragmatics of it for people, because, this is for and with people who are living this, they're in positions like ours, right? They are the executors, the practitioners, and the strategists. So in the world where, and I do agree, most people would agree that everyone gets to be in sales, right? If someone's like anti-sales or not in sales, that's really dangerous. Though, yes, often there are people who shouldn't be talking to customers or prospects. But even in the world where everybody is in, biz dev to a certain degree, if a lead comes in through HubSpot, right? So through the funnel and through the mechanisms, and now here's a lead, who deals with it? I mean, that's certainly not everybody's job, right? You don't want everybody having qualification conversations and setting up appointments for, I'm sure everyone doesn't have the information to do that. So is there anyone who's a little more in position than others to actually deal with concrete stuff coming in, or is it very open there too?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's divided up by that business unit. Mm-hmm. So, if it's a lead for leasing property, obviously then that would go to our sales and leasing department. Mm-hmm. If it's a lead for property management services, it goes to the contact there. If it's a lead for our residential apartments, it goes there, and so on and so on. Yeah. I mean, even for projects that we just have in the pipeline, like transforming the Eastern Hills Mall into a town center, we've had that out there for a year. And on our website, there's just a landing page for it. And there's 3 different sections where if you are interested in living there, you submit this form and that goes to the right person. You see what I'm saying? So we have those all set up. Of course, marketing gets copied on everything because we want to track those leads so we can calculate the ROI. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we think we have a really good system. Mm-hmm. And I would say that we've made a lot of great strides in the last couple of years with digital. That's just the way it is. It's data driven. It's a healthy balance of, being out in the community, being on LinkedIn, talking about your business, being helpful, right? Being a go-giver, giving that information out, and also targeting the leads that are going to, be the most helpful for your internal folks, because you don't want to be giving them leads that aren't for them. I recall a time where we had a lead come through and I followed up with the director of leads. Said, "Oh, whatever happened with that lead?" And he said, that was for a really small space. We don't have anything like that. So I referred her to, a broker or whatever it was. So, I'm always learning about, how can we get better? How can we refine those tactics so that we're pulling in the types of leads that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And
which is the name of the game.
And how long have you been at Uniland now in your current position?
So it'll be 7 years in September.
Okay.
Yeah, and our portfolio has grown incredibly since then. We just broke ground on $1 million townhomes at Gates Circle. So that has been a project that has kind of been on the board for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're condos, it has to go through a special process with the Attorney General. It takes kind of a while for that process to be approved. But what better time than to break ground right in the midst of a gorgeous summer in Buffalo, right? In Gates Circle. So, that was kind of an interesting one because I thought, we're going to announce this in the middle of a pandemic and we don't want to seem tone deaf, but we had already done so much market research and our agent had already been having discussions and meetings with people who were interested in them. So we kind of knew we just got to start getting them built because we already had a pretty good list of people who were interested in purchasing them, which blows some people's minds, but there's a lot of people who want to live downtown, who have big, properties in the suburbs. Their kids are maybe now in college and, they want to be downtown and they want to still have that nice standard of living.
Yeah.
So we just announced that. We're just finishing up another project in Rochester where we transformed a business park that we had acquired, pretty old business park, and we have transformed it into a combination of apartments and some offices and retail. And that's now a walkable community. And right across the street, they have a Wegmans. There's going to be a little fitness center in there. So, we're moving and shaking here at Uniland. There's no grass growing under our feet.
Yeah, no doubt. Certainly sounds like it. What would you say over the 7 years you've been there, and like you mentioned, right, the business starts a certain way, and this is what I like to call it, you're in an old school business, right? You're in a development business, and then this new world emerges, and there's digital, and the only when they're inside now, the only way to reach people, but the primary way to reach people is through these new channels. And so there's developing mechanisms like creating the HubSpot mechanisms and automating marketing, and then tweaking what you've been doing. What would you say in the transition, at least as far as since you've been there, which I assume most of this kind of digital marketing transformation has been happening in the last 7 years, what has been the hardest part or the biggest challenge about taking an old school handshake relationship-based business in a city like Buffalo, in an area like Western New York, and then going digital with that and taking that into, combining the handshake world with the inbound marketing world? Like, what's been the biggest challenge, and then what did you do about it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're right. And second of all, the handshake, at least here at Uniland, will never go away.
Yeah.
Our, what we call account executives. So if you were looking to lease space with us, you would be assigned an account executive, of which we have 3 right now. And then we have a director who's been an account executive here for like 25 years. And that person will really take you through the process personally, one-on-one. That's kind of where the digital part of it will end, if you will. So they're really good at that, and they have such great relationships with the brokers. And really, in this town, the brokers still, I don't want to say control, but they really contribute greatly to our leads. So anywhere between 50 to 70% of our leads are coming from the brokers.
Okay.
So that's one advantage. The disadvantage of that is that you are lumped in with all of your competition. And so you don't know what the broker is saying to the client, and you don't get that one-on-one with the client, right? You're going through a middle person, a very knowledgeable middle person who we, work closely with and we respect and who knows us very well. But what I've been trying to do is say, okay, that's great. Let's not mess that up. Like, keep doing that. But I want to supplement it with all of these business owners out there who maybe don't work with a broker or don't even know that that's an option. And because they've grown up in the digital age, they know that they can search for anything online. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't they be searching for office space online, right? Or an apartment online? So those are the people that I've been focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say at first it was kind of like, oh no, we don't, we're not really interested in that. We just want to focus on, the broker relationships because those tend to be bigger deals for us.
Mm-hmm.
But what has happened over time is we've actually brought in some really nice deals for them. So once you do that, they see the value in it.
Yeah.
And I like to think that we are we've plugged holes,
Yep.
and also that we're being more accessible to our community, because we don't want you to think that you just have to go to a broker to get to us. You can talk to us, you can follow us on social media, you can see our videos, you can read our case studies. We're pretty much opening up our shop and showing you what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So that was also really important to me when I came here, because we had done a brand image survey, and it said that we're seen as kind of the upper echelon real estate developer, with certainly with Geico and Citi and Delaware North building, and we didn't just want to be that, because we also have plenty of office space that can be configured for smaller businesses. And that's kind of where I was coming in and saying, well, let me and my team get you those leads.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we've been doing.
Nice. And
Yes, it's worked out well.
Yeah. Well, and there's the, convincing folks, right? The uppers and the people around you that, no, this is a great way to go. And then of course, when you get some of those deals in, all of a sudden people's minds open up a little bit, right? It's like, oh, okay, let's do more of that.
Yeah, I remember, so we do a state of the company every year, which is really wonderful, because Carl shares, a lot of information about the company, which is a private company, and he doesn't have to, share it. And so, I get to put together the marketing slides every year. And I remember one year it was like, our ROI was like 2,900 103%, and he looks at me, or he reads it, and then he goes, I bet you Jill wrote that. Because he knows, like, I want my team to get credit for every decimal point.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, even though we're in the thousands. Yeah.
Because I get it, we're overhead, we're an expense, and I want to show that there is a way to. And this is how marketing should be.
Yes.
It should show how it contributes to the business and how you pay for yourself over time, and hopefully many times over, especially in my department, where we also are doing, earned PR or, other, communications to get us recognition and leads.
Yeah, no, you got to demonstrate, you got to show the actual numbers, you got to show the value, you got to make the case. Because, to the point of that old school business, one of the features of usually the things I call old school businesses is that they're sales models, right? They're not marketing. They're not typically marketing. The people who are heading the company don't really know marketing. They don't know about it. They have interesting beliefs about how it's kind of superfluous, or maybe they think of advertising, B2C products, and they think marketing, and they have sales organizations. And now, right, I believe in this world, even sales organizations, there's an inbound content marketing piece, right, that supplements that. And in fact, that's what reps are doing, and it's not just the tech companies. You got sales development reps out there doing their own content on LinkedIn, right? Like, generating that brand awareness and an inbound attention and activity flow.
Yeah.
And then, right, then it turns into okay, now we're in a room together. And now it's the old way from that point on. But even from that point on, I can provide you for the sales cycle. I can provide video content. I can provide, different, that's still, it's all marketing. And CEOs, COOs, they don't necessarily always get that. And in some places, that's a death knell for the marketing department and the directors, and they just kind of cycle through. In some places, I know, there's 1,000 people companies and there's one marketing person. That's usually our signal for like, oh, they might be able to use some help, because clearly they're not a marketing company, but that person's got to be like buried and half dead, right? So like, let's go in and help that person, save them
throw them a lifeline.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll save you from your leadership team, and we'll bring results, right? Of course, we have to bring results, but we've got to get in there and create a new narrative around what marketing is and what it provides, so that people who have been selling stuff in rooms with other people their whole lives can start to get an idea of the value of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. When I got here, it was like, oh yeah, your team that like makes the nice collateral, and I'm like, no, that's not all we do, and so I think over the 7 years, we've definitely made some inroads, and with the support of the ownership, realizing that they really need to be hand in hand. And as I've told them, marketing should support not just sales, but the entire business. What is your business plan? And let marketing be a part of helping you achieve those goals. Yeah. And we are now, we're now at the point where we're able to do that. And frankly, we're actually measured on that. We have metrics to meet. And if we meet those metrics, we, are eligible for a bonus at the end of the year. So I love it, because I'm very goal oriented and competitive. And I want the other business units to see that we're more than just making brochures and creating websites. Yeah. And so.
Yeah, right? No, that's awesome. Yeah, and having metrics that you can play with, and revenue-based metrics. I'm really big on marketing. Yeah, like I need to be in the revenue game if I'm working on marketing. Even brand marketing, no matter what the approach is or the content or the aspect of it, ultimately it's a revenue game, because business is the revenue game, and of course profitability on the end. But my experience has been, the better the marketing and the more aligned it is, and the more of course those departments are aligned, marketing and sales, which in the old school world we're like fighting, right? Like, your leads suck, you've given us bad leads, everyone's going back and forth with you guys just can't close them, these are great leads. And often sales have been right. Sometimes it's a case by case thing, but if your marketing department is getting scored, measured on, and paid for, so to speak, generating some kind of a lead and efficiently, so you have a low cost per lead, then they're disconnected from the actual end result and what matters. You need to actually have them connected in with sales, because really what matters as a metric would be the total cost to acquire the customer, which I find some people are not like paying attention to. It's like, all right, well, cool, you had this lead come through and someone, signed up for a white paper or something, right? Or they signed up, I think you have like a Uniland University or something, cool. And they signed up, but they didn't sign up to be actually called. So the amount of follow-up on that, 1% conversion or 0.051% conversion out of 100%, and the people that are spending time following up, and then the people who are, that is the expense that marketing often doesn't have to deal with. But in reality, the cost to acquire the customer is everybody's, right? That should be shared. And the shared game should be, all right, we're going to create leads, great, but they're actually going to be good. We're not going to send them along if they're not, sales qualified leads. And then we're going to work together to create more content, so you have an easier time engaging these folks, which makes your job easier and the effectiveness higher.
Yeah, well, that's, you mentioned Uniland University. I mean, that's really another part of what we've tried to do over the last 7 years is make it easier on the sales team by having a more educated client come to them so that the client can watch videos or learn all about the property or read about how do I know how much space I need or suburban versus downtown, so that they're not necessarily bogging down the account executive with those questions. Now the account executive would say, "Oh, I want all those questions," but at least it's there. So you're right, and that does have to be put into the picture because I've got a writer that has to do it. I've got editors. I've got people that have to put it online. So there are those costs baked in, but the whole purpose is to make it easier for people to find us online because our SEO should be really good because of all the great content. And then they can learn something from us. We're giving them free information from our experts and with the hopes that they will say, these guys sound like they know what they're doing. I'm going to fill out a form. And then we can show the account executives, this is what they've done on our website. They've downloaded this. They've watched this video so that this is what they're prepped for, right? Versus, oh, I'm going to slam them with this video and that video. And I can say, well, they already watched it. So you may want to say like, hey, what did you think of the video? Do you have any questions? And stuff like that. So
no, it's awesome.
Trying to work together.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like I watched a video, I'm totally informed, and then someone forces me through their standard 30-minute pitch of information I already have. That's a turnoff.
And then you're like, oh, you're really not paying attention to me. So we don't want that to happen.
No, that's a bad response for sure. So, all right. So I think last question here. We talked earlier about, there's certainly all of these aspects of the Uniland work that you're doing. So there is varied, that's pretty varied. There's a lot of different projects and you are creating new things. So there is a newness element, but, managing and improving something that's up and running, very different from creating and launching something and then managing something that hasn't existed before, like Hansa, for example. So different sets of challenges, different sets of pros as well. What is, and this, maybe you have to give a political answer for this. I was going to say, like, what's your favorite? But like out of the, the creating something new and then seeing how that goes, or the just improving something that's already pretty good. Which of those do you get more juice out of personally?
I mean, definitely creating something new. It's funny because as the portfolio grows, things like we opened the Glen at Sheridan Meadows, which is an apartment complex at the corner of Sheridan and Transit in Williamsville. And we opened that, I think, about 6 years ago now. And I know that like property management is taking great care of it. And I know that our marketing program is working for it because it's at like 98% occupancy. I approved the social media messages for the channel. So I feel like, okay, that's in good hands. But then somebody brought something to me recently and they were like, look at how you wrote about it, 6 years ago or probably 7 years ago by the time, it became published.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, we should probably update that. So those are things that it's like you've got to constantly be looking at. And we have like 140 properties. So every single one of them has a brochure, a building one sheet, maps. And so we constantly have to be like, amenities, for instance, right? Because if we always assume that the business owner or, the chief facilities officer is, or chief financial officer is the one that we're talking to. Mm-hmm. And so they have to think about, they're thinking about cost. They're thinking about, is this a good location for our business and for our employees? So a lot of the things we'll put on our collateral include transportation. Is there access to the metro or the bus? Are there highways nearby? Are there amenities nearby so that they can run out easily and do errands or get lunch or take clients to lunch or whatever? So sometimes we have, you know, you have to always be updating those because, you know, we were like, oh, wait, we had a map and it showed like, you know, 35 retailers on Transit Road, and now there's like 60, you know,
Right.
and my graphic designer loves to, like, you know, put the logo for every single one of them, you know, and then we're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you know, Toys R Us went out of business, take it off, you know, so
Yeah.
it's like constant maintenance, you know, for those types of things. So I guess I would say like that's not necessarily my favorite thing to do because I'm like, I want to focus on launching the new brand, launching the new product, and making sure that's as successful as it can be, and you know, seeing it grow and flourish and get ready for the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I would agree.
Just actually, just yesterday, I took a tour of, I can see it from my window here, our new hotel, which is at the Northtown Center in Amherst. It's a
Okay.
Hampton Inn, and that's like going to open like August 1st.
Hmm.
And we're having like a ribbon cutting ceremony. And so we were in there, we were looking around, and I was like, my gosh, you know, they come up so quickly. And so now it's like planning for that. And that's what I love. You
Yeah.
know, that's why I love being a reporter, was because every day was new. You had usually 5-7 things going on at once, and you had to,
Mhm.
you know, keep all the balls in the air. And so that's why I love what I do and this job, this company, because there's a lot to do. And so it keeps you busy, keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. That's that's a lot of different directions at the same time. But yeah, I get it about the juices and the creation, right? Nothing satisfies the brain like something new to create and something novel. So very
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, I think I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day because it sounds like you got a lot of stuff to do over there, Jill. So
Well, we all do.
yes, yeah, we definitely do. But thank you so much for coming out and coming on. And
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
yeah, and you know, hopefully soon we'll be in an environment where we can get together again, and I'll see you. You know, maybe it's a networking
Safely.
thing or who knows what. You know, but I'll see
Yeah,
you soon. And
awesome.
thanks so
All
much.
right, great. All right, have a great day, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.